Are you as excited about this season of The Golden Bachelorette as I am? Yes, finally it's here. In this video, I want to give you everything you need to know about Joan, talk about the upcoming season, and then talk about the men. Welcome to Reality TV Therapy with me, Dr. Diane. Welcome back to my channel. If you haven't subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. But I want to do a little bit of light housekeeping first. I mentioned in my last video that my new channel is finally up. If you're on that channel now, welcome. Please make sure you subscribe also. But go to Reframing Midlife. I'll link it in the show notes. And please subscribe to that channel. I'm going to be posting my Golden Bachelorette videos here and there. But on that channel, I'm going to be talking about everything you need to know about how to handle the transition from perimenopause to menopause to post-menopause. I'm going to be interviewing experts talking about nutrition and fitness and fashion and all the things that I love that make midlife more fun, more exciting. Now let's talk about the show though. How are you going to watch this season? Well, it's on ABC. It's going to be on Wednesday nights, which is a change. It's going to be on 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, of course, if you don't watch it live, you can watch it on Hulu the next day. I will be trying to release my videos, I don't know, maybe on Fridays. I haven't quite figured it out. I'll have to see what my therapy schedule is. But if it's going to be Wednesday night, I'm going to need some time to produce this video. So ABC has not released the full schedule yet. Typically, what we know about most seasons of The Bachelor, Bachelorette, they're usually anywhere from 9 to 13 episodes. But the Golden Bachelor, we had 9 episodes that were only 1 hour long. So I don't know, the premiere is going to be 2 hours, but I don't know subsequent episodes. Stay tuned. We'll know more soon. Okay, let's talk about our Golden Bachelorette, Joan. I just adore this woman, and I was actually in the DMs with Joan early on. She seems so kind and approachable, and I've read a lot of comments about her. Now, she's the first ever Golden Bachelorette. We met Joan on Gary's season. She is 61 years old, but she made an impression on Gary and on America. Well, first off, they had a one-on-one date. And then after the one-on-one date, Joan, the next day, it was the next morning, she got a phone call from her daughter who was suffering from postpartum depression. And Joan made the painful decision to leave the show and go be with her daughter, which these things happen, right? It was the right decision for Joan and her family. But here's the thing. Even before this, I didn't actually think Joan was that into Gary. I just didn't think he was her type. And so she did it. She had to leave. But it was with such grace and really holding her head high. But she made an indelible impression on people because she was in the limo leaving after she said goodbye to Gary. And she looked in the camera and she said, "You know, I just feel invisible." And I thought, wow, Joan, that really puts into words what so many women feel as they're aging, feeling invisible. I know I have felt that way too. And she did a really nice job talking about that, right? You get kind of caught in the sandwich generation where you're trying to launch your kids, take care of other kids. And this was a perfect example. Like, when's it going to be my turn? But now it is Joan's turn for love. What else do we know about Joan? She has 4 children with her late husband, John, who died of pancreatic cancer in 2021. So sad because pancreatic cancer is just such a tough cancer. The couple was married for 32 years. Her kids go to school somewhere near Maryland, Holy Child School. I don't know, that's probably a Christian school. And she grew up in Olney. She attended the University of Maryland and she graduated with a computer science degree in 1985. just for you to know, that's impressive because it's not a common degree back in 1985. Well, now she works in alumni relations in Bethesda, at Landon School. And Joan, interesting enough, even after the Golden Bachelor, she went back to work. But she also has her own interior design business. And she's all over Instagram and TikTok. But she's into fashion and cooking and decorating. And check out Joan's videos where she like kicks up her cheetah slippers into a cheetah pump and has her black leather on. I just love her sense of self, right? She has a beautiful home. She seems interesting. You see, images with her and her grandchildren. I just find that she's a lovely package. All right. So what do her kids think about her being on the show? Well, of course, like all kids, they're going to say, Mom, don't kiss on public TV. It's a little bit cringeworthy. But of course, everyone wants Joan to find love, including her 92-year-old mother. And now I'm thinking, Joan's mother, 92. My dad, 92, lives in Chicago. Maybe, who knows? Maybe we go from the younger generation to the older. Okay, all right. But anyway, Joan's got a lot of hometown pride. And she made it very clear, and we'll see what happens as the season evolves, but that she really plans to stay near her family. And here's the thing. I think in the Golden Bachelor that this was more of a bone of contention because the women generally are closer, I'm just saying in generalities, to the grandchildren. Not all, but it would be harder as it was for Teresa to move. And by Joan declaring that, I think she's also saying to the men, listen, if you want to make this work with me, you need to know that you might be moving towards me. And good for Joan to make that very clear because she wants to stay in Maryland no matter what. But let's talk about it. At this point, do you really need to relocate? Like, I can't imagine being engaged and not living where my fiance lives. But do you really need to get engaged? So, like, what I would really love for this season is for there not to be that narrative because the pressure was, we're older, we found love, we got to roll with this. But you could have a great relationship long distance. You could have maybe one house 6 months of the time, one place, one the other. Like, I think people just have to get creative, but I'd love it if the pressure was not to get engaged. If you want to, great. But let's see how this plays out. And remember, this is brand new, so we don't know. Let's now talk about the men. My first impression was that they did a lovely spread on Vanity Fair. The men kind of look like a Banana Republic ad. All the neutral kind of tones, but the men get a glow up too. And we have 24 of them. So I'm just going to read through the list of men. You can check out their pages themselves for interesting information because it's so overwhelming. 24 men are going to come out of the limo and you're only going to remember a handful of them. Like, I don't even really get into their names and who they are. I usually don't even do these videos because, again, many of them are going to go home night one. But my first impression is that casting did a really nice job, just in terms of the diversity, the interest of these men. I'm imagining, again, Joan met her husband in college. She works, at a university. I'm thinking she's wanting somebody maybe more worldly, but I don't really know her type and I couldn't find out what her type is. So just running down the list, let's start with Bill or William. Now, some of the men are retired, some are working. What I couldn't find out how many men were widowers, divorced. That was not in their bios. So all we know is their age and what it is that they do and a little bit fun facts about some of them. All right, William. Bill is 68. He's retired, a videographer. Joan could use him for some TikTok videos from Portland, Oregon. Next, we have Robert or Bob, 65, a chiropractor from Marina del Rey. Maybe he could give Joan a little neck massage on night one. Next, we have 3 different Charles. Okay, how are we going to keep this straight? We have Charles K, 62, portfolio manager from Rancho Palos Verdes, California. And Charles says that he's very proud of his work, but he has 5 children, and that's his greatest accomplishment. Good for Charles. Next, we have Charles L, 66, retired financial analyst from Philadelphia, a little closer geographically. Next, we have Charles, or Chalk, he goes by. He's 60, a little younger, a year younger, insurance executive from Wichita, Kansas. Chalk once went nighttime shark diving in Australia. Like, these are fascinating men with lived experiences, travel, etc. Next, we have Christopher, 64, contractor from West Babylon, New York. He has 3 kids and 7 grandchildren. Good for Christopher. Next, Daniel, or Dan, 64, private investor from Naples, Florida. I'm hearing a theme. They're like all these men in business and finance. Next, David, 68, but he's a rancher from Austin, Texas. Could be interesting. Gary, 65, retired finance executive from Palm Desert. Now, Gary is the godson of Tina Turner. Isn't that fascinating? Supposedly, Gary says he has a beautiful voice and killer dance moves. Gary looks like a fun guy. Next, Gil, who's 60, an educator from Mission Viejo, California. Next, we have Greg, 64, a retired university VP from Longboat Key, Florida. Greg recently traveled to Rwanda to hike with gorillas. You go, Greg. These men are not sitting around. And next we have Guy, 66. He's an ER doctor from Reno, Nevada. He too has 4 children, just like Joan, and he wants to show the world that older men have a zest for life. I like that. Next, we have John, or Jack, who's 68. He's a caterer from Chicago who wants to cook Joan some great meals. I like that. Jonathan, 61. He is a shipping consultant from Iowa. Jordan, 61. Sales manager from Chicago. A lot of Chicago guys. Keith, 62, says he's a girl dad from San Jose, California, which is where I live, and he's 6'5". All right, we got some tall men here too. Kenneth, or Ken, 60. He's a property management treasurer from Massachusetts, could be close geographically. Kim, 69, a retired Navy captain. Fascinating. Mark. All right, we're going to pause for Mark because Mark here is my Barbary Mark. Mark is Kelsey's dad. So if you watched The Bachelor, or maybe you didn't, last season, Joey ended up choosing Kelsey, and we met Mark, her dad. Now, it was sad because the story, and Kelsey was just really choked up most of the time because she'd lost her mother and she was really close to her. But Mark was this sensitive widower who talked so much about family and finding love a second time. And there was some, rumors that he would be the next Golden Bachelor. But what usually happens is they want to see them more on TV. How will Mark be? So that's why he's on. But so exciting because in the snippet, they have Kelsey coming out and introducing her dad, and I just love that crossover. Now, a green flag about Mark, his favorite movie is Elf. What's not to love? I love Elf. All right, next we have Michael, 65, retired banking CEO from Denver. Michael is terrified of talent shows. So you know they're going to put him in a talent show because if you write that in your bio, it's like a guarantee. If there's a talent show, he's going to be in it. All right, Pablo, 63, retired UN agency director from Maryland. So right there, Joan's neighbor. But when he's not volunteering as an EMT, and he's also from Buenos Aires. He enjoys visiting his kids and running ultra marathons. These men are not sitting around. Next, we have Pascal. He is a 69-year-old salon owner from Chicago. He could do your hair. I mean, we've got somebody who's going to cook and someone who's going to do your hair. I love this for Joan. Ralph, RJ, is 66, a financial advisor from Irvine, California, looking for a man in finance. 6'5", because that's RJ. Trust fund. Interesting. I also love that crossover too. Next, we have Thomas, 62, a fire department chief from New York. He looks like another fascinating man. So what can we expect from night one? Well, if you haven't seen many limo entrances, oftentimes there's these like cheesy kind of, I love them because I love all things cheesy. People come in costume. I don't think we're going to see a lot of that with the men, but what we might see is men in uniform. Like we might see, because we had a man from the Navy, I saw a little snippet of that. We have someone in the fire department or in the Army. Would love to see that. But I don't imagine that we're going to have any like shot o'clock, or I don't know, are the men going to come out in Corvettes or rev their engines? Who knows? But I think they're going to keep this classy, because here's the thing. Again, I don't care whether people get engaged or not. I think the pressure should be off. The point and why the Golden Bachelor hit so many notes with so many people. 6 million people tuned in to watch the first episode. And that's because so many Gen X, baby boomers want to see TV with love and real people. And that's what I'm hoping we're going to get this season. Real stories, real love. A lot of the men in their bios talked about how hard it is to date in their hometowns. Why not? Why not take a chance? Only one person is going to be the final rose. We know that. But hopefully along the way, we don't know of the interesting characters, because the last season, okay, I get it. I was not happy that Teresa and Gary broke up. They got divorced. But it was about the women, right? It was about the women. It was about the Jones. It was about, the Susan and Nancy and all of them then starting podcasts and being friends. And I think that's what we're going to find out about the men too. I'm guessing they'll be bonding, because a lot of men don't even talk maybe about their singleness. I mean, sometimes they come to me as clients and I don't know if they're talking to lots of people about that, but I imagine what a unique opportunity for all of them and for us. So that's what I'm excited about. We'll find out more. I'm going to be following this show closely. Please subscribe. Follow me on Instagram and but until Wednesday night, where we have more, stay tuned. And that is a wrap.